All right, as I alluded to yesterday, we adjusted our schedule in the back. We'll do another worksheet today, look very similar to this, just give you additional practice. Tomorrow will be just an in-class assignment, that will be it. Monday will be the review day, and Tuesday will be the quiz over this material. I may even give you the review sheet tomorrow that you can, if you want to, work on the weekend. If you don't want to, that's fine. We'll use Monday as a review day. So it'd be one of those things, we're not gonna quiz it up on Monday, we'll quiz it up on Tuesday. We did problem number 1 yesterday in class. Once again, as we talked about yesterday, you need to get the diagram up here so you have reference to what we are dealing with. We have theta is in quadrant number 4. And beta is in quadrant number 1. Beta was here. This is 5, 13, let's see. 5, 13, and 12. And theta's in 4. The sign is -3/5, and that was there. Okay, we did problem number 1 yesterday. I'd like to go down and do problem number 4. Cosine theta divided by 2. Okay, cosine theta divided by 2. We have a half angle here. We have a half angle. So we have to go to our sheet to get our half angle formula and expand it out. So that's the first thing we're going to deal with is expanding out cosine of x divided by 2 or theta divided by 2. So we have plus minus. What's the rest of our formula? Emma, what do you have? 1 plus cosine theta over 2. So we just expand out the formula. Okay, next thing we do, we look to put in for our cosine of theta. Well, if we look at our triangle, what is our cosine of theta? Drew, what's cosine of theta over there? 4/5. So we have 1/4/5 divided by 2. Now once again, we have to simplify this fraction inside the radical. You could do one of 2 ways. You can quantify 1 plus cosine 4/5 divided by 2. Hit your math button, hit enter again, and that will simplify your radical or your fraction for you. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Once again, if you haven't, everybody do it again. Just so, get your calculator out and do this so I make sure that we know how to do this. Parenthesis, and don't try to skip steps here. Don't say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to hit enter here, then hit, no. Just type in 1 plus 4 divided by 5, end parentheses. Divide by 2, all in one line. Hit your math button. Hit enter. Okay, that's going to take it to a fraction. Hit enter one more time. And it will reduce your fraction down. Does anybody have issues with that? Anybody have problems with that? Okay, that's a way of doing it. Okay, I'm trying to keep it simple for you. When I do that, Lexi, what do you come up with? 9/10. Now, if you wanted to, once again, this is where we talk about if we advance ourselves mathematically. I multiply top and bottom of this fraction by the same common denominator of 5. Okay, I want to be able to cancel this out, and we have to distribute this over. So we have plus minus 5 plus 4 over a value of 10, and we get our 9/10. Either way is correct. But now this becomes an algebraic skill. Square root of 9 plus minus square root of 9 over square root of 10, which simplifies down to 3 over square root of 10, plus or minus. Then to rationalize this, Brianna, what do we have to multiply top and bottom by? Square root of 10. Square root of 10. So we have plus or minus 3 square root of 10 over 10. Now what we have to do is we have to determine which one of these do we have. Do we have the positive or do we have the negative? Well, that's where we go back up to the top in our problem. It says the sine of theta was equal to negative 3 over 5, and theta is in between 270 and 360. And that's what it says at the top of the paper. What I give you. If theta is between 270 and 360, half theta is going to be in between what value and what value? Isaac, where?
135 and 180.
How'd you get it? Yeah. Because this is telling me I'm taking theta dividing by 2. So if I take this divided by 2, I have to do it to everything. So I have 135 and 180 degrees. The easiest way, once again, take any number between 135 and 180, any number you want, and take the sine of that angle. I'm sorry, the cosine. Take the cosine of that angle. Any number you want. You want to do 137.15478283849 pi. No, don't throw the pi in there. It wouldn't work then. Does it come down to a positive angle or a negative angle, Mia?
Negative.
It comes down to a negative. So my solution here has to be negative. If you want to remember, this, sine, cosine, tangent are all going to be positive in quadrant number 1, between 0 and 90 degrees. Between 90 and 180, your sine will be positive, and your cosine and tangent will be negative. Think about a triangle in that quadrant. My opposite's positive, my hypotenuse is positive. So my sine will be positive. My adjacent is negative, my hypotenuse is negative, so I have a negative cosine. My tangent, my opposite is positive, my adjacent is negative. So I have opposite, negative, positive over negative, that's going to give you a negative. In quadrant number 3, the sine and the cosine are both negative, the tangent is positive. Once again, opposite over hypotenuse in quadrant 3. Opposite's negative, hypotenuse is positive. Cosine, adjacent's negative, hypotenuse is positive. So you have negative over positive. Tangent, opposite's negative, adjacent's negative, negative divided by negative is a positive. And in quadrant number 4, we have the cosine is positive, the sine and the tangent are both negative. So if you want to, you can look at that also. But it's a lot easier if you just pick an angle. But that's why it's positive or negatives in there. If I take a look, half theta is between 135 and 180. Half theta is between 135 and 180, which is in here, which the cosine would be negative then. Either way is the correct way of thinking about it. Once again, I used to make students to go through this and learn this. But then I thought, you know what, I'll explain this, but I'll take a look at, just find an angle that's for half theta, find a value in there and try it in your calculator. Is it positive or negative? Other questions you have about anything on the front? Yeah,
Can you do the one where it's like 6.5 times cosine squared?
yeah.
Okay.
Problem 6.5. We have cosine squared of theta minus sine squared theta is equal to -1/2. Yeah, I know. It's okay. It's okay. Those were extra problems I put in there. At least I kept it between 6 and 7. 6 3/4 was the next one. It's okay. So we take a look at our formula sheet on the right hand side. What can I find cosine squared minus sine squared on the right hand side of my formula sheet? And if so, what does it look like on the left hand side? Cosine squared minus sine squared. Can you find it there, Bennett?
Yes, cosine 2a.
Yeah, cosine 2a. So an a in this case is theta. So you have cosine 2 theta is equal to -1/2. Next step, we want to solve for theta. We need to get rid of cosine. What do we do to both sides to get rid of cosine, Trenton?
Inverse cosine.
Inverse cosine. So we take the inverse cosine of -1/2. So I click into my calculator, inverse cosine -1/2. Aubrey, what do you get?
120.
120. But remember, when we do the inverse cosine, we got two solutions. We got the principal value, which is our calculated value, and it's what? Opposite. So we have a -120. Both cases we have to get rid of multiplication by 2, so we're going to divide by 2. By 2, by 2, by 2. So we have theta is equal to 60 plus or minus. Theta here is equal to -60 plus or minus. Our b value is a value of 2. So we have the period is 360 divided by 2, or 180n. Also, you can think of this as, when I take the inverse cosine, I get 120 plus or minus 360n, but I have to divide that by 2 also to give me the 180. Anything else on the front? All right, we take a look at the back. You have to follow the instructions. And I told you you could pick any 2 on the bottom. 12, 13, 14, or 15. Anything you'd like to go over on the back? Because those start to become a little bit, they become a little long. And it's the same process over and over again. Yeah.
13.
Number 13. Number 13. We have sine 7 theta plus sine 3 theta is equal to 0. So we are looking, once again, as we talked about in the previous class, when it's in addition form, we can't solve the problem. But if I can make this or get this into multiplication form, I can then solve the problem by using the multiplication property as 0. but I need to be able to convert this into a multiplication form. Right now, it is a sum. So I need to look at my sums. Do I have something that looks like sine of x plus the sine of y? Somewhere along, and don't try to get too much into it, just look on the left-hand side because that's my sums and products. Do I have something that looks like sine of x plus sine of y? Mel, do you have something there?
Yeah, 2 sine x plus y over 2, and then cosine x minus y over 2.
So here's your x and here's your y, so you had 2 sine x plus y over 2 times what?
Cosine x minus y over 2.
So wherever I see an x, I'm putting in a 7 theta. Where I see a y, I'm putting in a 3 theta. So we have 7 theta plus 3 theta divided by 2. And cosine of 7 theta minus 3 theta divided by 2 is equal to 0. So I'm taking 7 theta plus 3 theta, adding them together, dividing them by 2. And then I'm taking 7 theta minus 3 theta, subtract those two, divided by 2. Seven theta plus 3 theta is 10 theta divided by 2. We have 5 theta. 7 theta minus 3 theta is 4 theta divided by 2 is 2 theta. Now using the multiplication property of 0, one of these things has to equal 0. 2 could equal 0, sine 5 theta could equal 0, cosine 2 theta could equal 0. Get rid of your sine. What do we do to get rid of sine? Remember, we get the principal value, which is a calculator value, and the supplement. What do you have to add to that to get to 180? So you get 2 values there. Then we take our inverse cosine of 0. That gives us 2 values, the principal value and its opposite. Coordinate, what do you have for, we didn't take the inverse sine of 5 theta, or inverse sine of 0, what do you get? And what else? 180. Okay, we take the inverse cosine of 0, we get 2 values. Colder, what are those 2 values?
90.
Inverse cosine, what do we do with the second value? Take its what?
And
Opposite. So we have negative 90. Divide everything by 5, by 5, by 5, by 5, by 2, by 2, by 2, by 2. Period, we have 5 theta, it's our B value. So we got 360 divided by 5. 360 by 5. Here we got 180, or 360 by 2. So we have 180n, 180n. 360 divided by 5. 72. And as you do these problems, as you solve these problems, it's you're either gonna get inverse sine, you're gonna get 0 and 180, or inverse cosine, you're gonna get 90 and negative 90. Those are gonna be your values. Each and every problem that you do with the solving equations here. Other questions? Okie dokie.